Hello, I'm Erin Halvorsen with Rag Rugs by Erin, and today we're going to be doing something besides rag rugs. We're going to be making rag rug baskets. But what we're really going to be talking about for the most part of this beginning part, and we're going to focus on, is the different techniques to achieve different looks in baskets. So when you start branching out on your basket making or what you're trying to actually achieve, you have some idea of how to tweak it to get what you want. And then I'm also going to attach the video that shows how to basically make the basket. It will talk less about the different looks at that point. It's just going to be showing you how to start it, how to build the walls, and how to finish it. But really the first part of this video is focus on the different techniques and how you achieve them. So let's talk about, first of all, here's some nesting type of baskets, and when you start the basket, you would just make one size, and then you would just make it a little smaller, the base, before you start building up the side before you make it, or a little bigger depending on which one you make first. I tend to make the biggest one first. You could also do the smallest one first, and then you could just build them up. And see, here's one that has 3 of them. Okay, so that's a little nesting basket. This basket was achieved with using, I get asked these questions, it doesn't occur to me sometimes to share this, so I'm going to try to be a little more. I used a 12mm hook. This is one of my 12mm hooks. You can see it has a long end on it. So this is a 12mm, and I used like 1.25 to 1.75 of sheet yarn to achieve this basket. What we did on this type of basket is, once we decided how big we wanted the bottom, we stopped increasing as you go around. As you go around any kind of arch, you increase by adding extra single crochets into one hole. You do a second one here and there. And then in order to make the sides go up, you just stop increasing and it will automatically go up. Okay, so that's what happened in these types of rugs, right? I mean, these types of bowls. Okay, so there's that. Now another look that you can see how this is cupping like this? Pretty little basket. Some of you may not like this look. You might want a different look. Well, it's as simple as this. Flipping it inside out. Now you see it's a different type of look. Okay, of course, any of these you can add handles to. I'm not focusing that on this one, but here's another. Okay, so now we flipped them both out, and now you have a different look. It depends on what you're trying to achieve. So it depends on what you like. Now on these nesting baskets, I tend to like them cupped together. Next week, I may feel differently. You'll see videos as I progress. I change my thoughts and my views, and right now this is how I feel about them. So this is what I like. And you can see you can just flip them inside out. Well, that's one way to achieve a different look. Let's get a little bit more sophisticated on what is another way to achieve a different look. Okay, that was a 12. This one I made with a 14mm. Okay, it's a little bit bigger, as you can see. Okay, and the one I'm going to be making in the video is going to be done with a 14 too. What the difference is an interesting thing. First of all, this one was made with a 14mm, and the sheet yarn was probably 1.5 to 2 inches, maybe a little bit bigger, a little bit wider, to achieve this look of a little bit thicker. And also I want to show you, and the one I'm going to show you in the video how to make it, here's one done with a 14 as well. Okay, and you can see the sheet yarn. This was from another project. It's about 1.5 inches overall. But see, I am going to transition on the sides to a wider one because that's what I had. So that's over 2 inches, maybe close to 2.5 inches. And I like a little bit thicker on the sides sometimes because it makes it a little bit more stable if you go a little thicker, especially if you're going to go up a little higher. So that's one thing. And then I'm actually going to, on the one I'm going to make, I'm going to use this, which is 3-inch sheet yarn. And this 14 will still achieve that. Depending on, this is fairly thin. The second color I have in here is also blue, but it's a little bit heavier strip. So in that one, I went just a tad thinner. So people will ask me exact sizes and expect to follow something. You have to, work through things and think about things. And if one material is really thin, you can make it wider to coincide with one that is maybe a thicker material. These are all still sheets, but they have different weights and thicknesses, and so you have to make some adjustments. So this 14 millimeter will still work with this 3-inch wide. I usually, when I advertise on my website and talk about it, I don't talk about things as big as they can handle, because it might be more than some of you feel like you can handle with your hands. And some of you crochet extremely tight, and that may cause a problem too. So you have to be willing to make adjustments. And I'd rather you go a little bigger than to say, hey, it wouldn't work with that size material because it's way too thick maybe. So when you're looking at my website, you have to consider that too. All right, so back to this rug, this bowl. What I did differently on this one, these just increased. I told you once you decided you wanted the sides, you stopped increasing around and the walls will go up. On this one, and I will show you in the video, because I'm going to show this technique in the video that shows how to make a basket. What I ended up doing is I went in the back bar, and you can see this ridge. See this ridge that is achieved when you go in the back bar. Okay, and what I mean by going in the back bar is when we make the transition, which I'll show you in the video, you would only grab the back part. Okay, so you don't grab the whole stitch when you're going in the back bar. Okay, so that's what I did as I went around the first time. Once I came all the way around, let's see, you can see right here, when I came all the way around, then I continued to go back to going into the whole stitch, the space between the stitch. Okay, and I show you that in the video, but that achieves a little bit different look. It gives more of a flat instead of an arched bottom. See how this is a little more arched? Okay, this one also, I went in the back bar. Okay, can you see that? I went in the back bar. And then again, once I came all the way around, I continued to go in the space between the stitches as you went around. Okay, now let's talk about this as opposed to this. When you're looking at this rug, I make mostly rugs, so please forgive me for keep on referring. When you look at this rag rug basket as opposed to this, these sides stick up a little straighter. Okay, they're a little straighter. This one flares out a little bit depending on the achievement that you're trying to get. Okay, the difference is, there's two differences. One, this is done with a much larger hook, like my 22, again, 8.5 inches long, makes it comfortable for you to handle so much. This is done with 2-ply material. 2-ply means you're using 2 different pieces of sheet yarn. In this instance, this sheet yarn is a minimum of 1.5 inches each one of them. Some of them, these materials that I've mixed together, are 2 or more inches together, or 2 inches and 1.5 inches, or something like that. I kind of mix it up because I rob these from other projects, and so this 22 millimeter will achieve that 2-ply, which I show you how to do a 2-ply in another video. Here's a 2-ply rug where I've used 2 pieces of material, and I go into that. So if you want to achieve that 2-ply, you could refer to that and use that technique only with a basket. Okay, this is done with a 22 millimeter. This is really rigid feeling, okay? The thing is, why this one flares and this one does not, is when you're adding your extra stitches as you go around the bottom and you're achieving the bottom, if you add a lot of extra stitches, because that's what feels comfortable, what happens is once you make that transition and go in the back bar and start coming up and not adding any more stitches, you already have a lot of stitches. Okay, so that means you're going to have to go into each one of those. There's only so much room for the stitches after that. So it's going to flare at the beginning because it's being pushed out because you have so many stitches here. This one, I did tighter at the bottom, and as I came around the last circumference or two of the circle, I didn't add quite as many. I made it a little tighter. Okay, you can't continue to make something tight, 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 or it will then start cupping automatically. You can't continue to make something too loose by adding too many extra stitches on this one, or it becomes like leaf lettuce. You've heard me talk about adding extra stitches. But on the basket, depending on how you finish your bottom, will depend a lot on how your sides are going to look. So if you have made this tighter on the bottom and not added as many extra stitches, it will start shooting up quickly and it won't arch as much. But on this one, this had a lot of little stitches and this one arched. So that will give you a different look. It's going to give you a different look based upon that. I hope that you can follow that. You may need to see the video. You may have to make more rugs before you understand this a little bit more. But I get asked these complex questions, and sometimes in emails, and these are complex things to even write, never mind speak and explain to you. So let me show you the difference of this kind of, when you flip it, you can still do this, achieve this by flipping it and still getting a little bit different look to your basket. Now it's a little more rounded. So if you like that look, you can do that. And then you see where you started to increase, you see that little wavy line by going in the back bar. I have a video that shows going in the back bar on a rug and just doing a traditional single crochet too, so you can see that. Make sure you go to my rag rug information and help videos. I have over 35 videos just in that playlist. It's on my website, ragrugsbyerin.com, or it's on my YouTube channel. All my videos are still free, but in that playlist, rag rug information help videos, there are 35 at the present moment of how to find all different things that you're having struggle with, and that one about going in the back bar is there as well. Then you can see this. If I flip this one, this really almost looks very, open. So it depends on what you're trying to achieve. So you can do some different things. Now, Lyle pointed out to me, which he thinks is endearing, and I didn't like it, to be honest with you, when he said this to me, but I have to accept his thoughts and his views, because some of you may have the same thoughts and views. There's imperfections. There's a dip here. There's some dips here, and also where I finished it, where things are not perfect. And some of you think my stuff is perfect, and it's far from perfect. But these are handmade items, and some of you get really crazy with some of the questions you ask me, and you're wanting your stuff to be perfect. I've been doing this a long time, and mine still aren't perfect, believe it or not. So be easy with yourself, accept it, and you're the only one criticizing it. Okay, that's kind of off on a tangent. So this is a 2-ply, and this one, both of these were done 2-ply. It's got higher sides. This one is a little flimsier. It's not quite as wide of sheet yarn was used, makes it a little flimsier. Actually, this one I use in my RV. I put all my spices in it. I carry them to and from the table. I put them in the cabinet. I pull them all out. And I love this flexible rug with this high sides. It's like the perfect height for putting in your spices and still being able to see them. So there's all kinds of things that you can do with these baskets. The possibilities are endless. You can add handles. You can do all sorts of things. So if you want to see how to make your own basket, continue watching, and that video will be attached to the bottom. So subscribe if you haven't already. Come back and see my over 100 videos, and visit my website. My videos are organized better there, or follow me on Facebook, which I post my own things, but as well as a lot of your projects as well. So thank you so much, and I'll see you next time. Okay, we're starting a round rug or a round basket. The technique is the same, so let's go ahead and get going. Two little things I want to tell you is, I'm using a 14 millimeter today, which you can find on my website, which has got the long handle. But when I transitioned on the basket part of it, we're going to be using this as the base, and then we're going to transition up the side so we can achieve these baskets that you see here. This sheet yarn was only done by like 1.5 inch sheet yarn, and I still use the 14 millimeter. However, the beginning rug or round rug or the basket, I'm going to show you the difference of using like a 3-inch wide sheet yarn, and it still can be achieved like with this 14 millimeter or P-hook, which you can see the difference. And it just depends. You achieve different looks. This one will be thinner. You'll see that this will be a thicker type of thing. So there's not just one exact size you have to use. So let's get going. That will be the transition for the basket, but this will be the beginning for a round rug or a round basket. Okay, so I like to leave a long tail whenever I start a rug or a basket or anything. So Mr. Cameraman, if you want to come around the back side. I show this how to do this in how to hide the tail, my new favorite way, and how to get it going. We're going to make a slip knot to start off with. I go slower in the beginner oval video. You may want to watch it there, but I'm going to do it here fairly slow. So you're going to hold the shorter piece, the tail long. You see how long that is? That's like 18 inches long maybe. You're going to cross over like this, and you've made this little circle here, and then you're going to take the bigger ball and you're going to feed it through that center part and grab it, kind of hold the bottom here and pull it, and then you can adjust with the longer piece to make it a little smaller. Okay, some of you want to do this when you're starting a rug. Don't do that, that's too tight. You have to go into those holes, so make it a little looser. Okay, you can just crochet. Now you're going to hold the tail in the same hand as the rug if you want to. I mean, as the hook, if you're not going to incorporate the tail. However, this technique that I'm going to show you is a great technique where I incorporate the tail at the same time. Either technique can be done, and you can always weave this in later. But this is my way of doing it now, and it makes me happy. So I put them together, and then you're going to make 5 chain stitches, loose chain stitches. Loose, loose, loose. I teach classes, and the people that really struggle with this are the ones that make it tight, tight, tight. So please try to make it loose. You kind of hold, I hold it when I'm using this hiding the tail technique, kind of hold it down here. Again, if you've got a 6-inch, which is the majority of what your hooks are, they're 6 inches long. Look where you're going to be all the way. You're going to already be hanging off the edge. This is why I designed this is one of the reasons why I designed the longer. So I bring it down here so I have this nice throat, which helps regulate the stitches. You're going to cross over, and you're going to grab the material. See, I turn it just slightly, and you're going to pull it through. There's 1 chain stitch. We're going to do 5 of those. Cross over, turn it, pull it through. See how loose it is? 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, see how loose that is? That's actually a little bit looser than sometimes I do it. This one's a little bit big, but it will probably work. And look at the tail's already gone. Sometimes it will stick out, sometimes you can grab it later. Now, in order to get your beginning circle, you're going to arch it like this. Okay, see how we're pulling it like that? And you're going to go in over here, which is the end stitch, right here. Not here, but right here. This helps to not have a big hole in the bottom, in the center of your rug that sometimes happens. This took me a long time to figure out. And this technique I'm going to show you will help eliminate it too. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to do a slip stitch. You're going to go into that hole. You're going to grab the material, and you're going to pull it through. Okay, so you got a little circle. You're going to pull the back piece off, and there's your circle. Now you still do have a hole, but watch how it kind of dissipates as we go around. Now what we're going to do, I'm going to make this round rug, not necessarily in the back bar, and you can watch my video on the back bar as opposed to going in the single crochet. This is still a single crochet, but for the first go around, I kind of go in the back bar, and there's actually more than 5 places you go into. So watch this, and we'll try to count them as we go around all the way. You're going to put in 2 single crochets in each one of these places. This is the stitch. This is where you're going to make your first one. These sometimes, some of you watch on your phones, and my eyes are just not good enough. So then you'll say, I couldn't see. I'm going to be very careful and try to help you. But if you're watching on a tablet or a computer, or even your TV, which scares me just a little bit, that you're watching me on your TV, this big screen, but you're going to be able to see this much better. So please, consider that when you're watching these details if you're struggling with these things. So here is where you're going to put your first stitch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Another one is created, 6, and this is where I'll show you when we come back around. So even though you only had 5 stitches, 2 single crochets are going to go into each one of these. So you're going to go into this hole, cross over, pull it through. Now you have 2, 1, 2. You're going to cross over and pull them both off. That's 1 single crochet. We're going to go back in that same hole. Remember I said we're going to do 2 single crochets in each one of these holes. You're going to go into that hole, the same hole you were in, turn it just a little bit, pull it, bring it up level again, okay? Bring it so you don't get it too tight. Again, you're using this throat that you have here. You're going to cross over and pull them both off. So that's your first hole with 2 single crochets. Then I'm pulling this right here. See this? You're going to use that. Not down in here, which is normally where I would put the stitch, because that pulls too much. That's why we're doing it this way. You're going in just this loop right here. You're going to go into that hole, and you're going to do the same thing. You're going to turn, grab your material, pull it back up so it's loose enough, cross over, and pull them both off. That's your first one in the second hole. Let's do it again. Put it in that hole, grab your material, turn it, pull it through. We're back up again, pull the back, cross over, and pull the back 2 off. So that's your second hole. Okay, there's your third one. See, there's your third one. Going to go in your third place that you're going to put your stitch in, go there, and do the same thing. I'm going to go a little faster. Oops, excuse me. Sometimes people will tell me, I had several emails from one person, and they wanted to know how they could tell where they were. If you can't tell, pull it back out and start again. There's no way I can tell you. I get confused too sometimes. Put it in the same hole. This is hole 3. Pull it back up and pull it. See how loose I'm leaving it? I'm still leaving it loose. See, that hole is still there. But let's watch as we come around and we're going back in. This is the 4th one. You go in here, grab your material. We're doing that same single crochet. See how we're kind of, these holes appear a little bit, and I should have done it just a little tighter to be honest with you. I'm going to now go in here. This is, I think, the 5th one. Now I'm dealing a little bit with this tail, which you can always snip off, but sometimes I just try to tuck it in so it can be hidden. Sometimes it is hidden, sometimes you'll have to snip it in the end. Okay, so there was 5. You're going to go here, right here, and you're going to do 2 more single crochets. That tail's popping through again, so we'll see if we're going to be able to hide it or if we'll have to snip it at the end. Okay, see how you kind of, it looks like this? Now we're going to go back over to doing the whole hole instead of the back stitch. That's the whole hole. Instead of just grabbing that, which you saw that loop over, these are your holes now. Okay? Where you got both pieces, these are your holes that you're going to be using right here. Not just that, not just that. You're going to be, these are going to be the holes. In most of these, if not all of these, you are going to put 2 single crochets. Depending on how loose or how tight, you may only put 1 single crochet in the hole. We're going to watch as we go along, okay, and see how that goes. Now see, this will close up this little gap here. And we're doing still just single crochets. This is the same whether you're making a bottom of a basket or if you're making a round rug. And you just continue around. Okay, so these are all going to have now to, now see, there's a little bit of a hole there because I made it a little bit looser, but it's not real obvious. I mean, you could pull it, and some of you will. You'll overwork your material because you're stressed. Relax. It's a rag rug. Enjoy the process. I really feel like we need to relax and enjoy this. Now, some of you are taskmasters. I am on certain things myself, but try to relax. Okay, so we're going to continue to go 2 single crochets. And when I get to a point where in the same hole, I will show you what I'm talking about. Then we might only do 1. Okay, see? We're here and I've done 2 single crochets. I'm not sure if I'm going to put 2 in there or not. So I'm going to start with my 1. There's 1 single crochet. It's still, see how this will have to stretch all the way over here. If you have to stretch all the way over there, you could already start the bottom of your basket or your circle rug cupping. That's what some of you will try to do. So I suggest you don't, because we wanted to watch when I do add the 2nd single crochet. Hey, that's right there. It's going to go in easy. So each time we need to be judging. So far we've done 2 single crochets in every hole. You may do this all the way around the 2nd time around. We're going to continue on so we can see how you start transitioning to not using 2 single crochets in every hole and only start going to 1 periodically. Okay, we're still now, and I've switched to a different material. And I've already made my sheet yarn, and of course I have videos to show how to make sheet yarn, how to attach it without sewing, and I have all those videos available to you in playlists that are available to you. This one is not quite as wide as this one because it is a little thicker material, so you have to make that adjustment, and it really doesn't matter if it is, it won't matter that much. Okay, so we're still doing 2 single crochets in each one of these holes. I'm going to continue to work a little faster. Some of you will get bored with me. Some of you will say, I like it, and I can't please you all, I just do my best. Remember, this is all free. I just do the best I can trying to help. That's my job, is, in my mind, is to be helpful, to teach a craft that a lot of people wouldn't get exposure to or can't travel to one of my classes. Or I'm not traveling to your city. Okay, we're still doing 2 single crochets as we go around in order to keep it laying flat. All right, 2 single crochets and then see how I lay it flat? I do a lot of it on my lap, but as your bottoms get bigger or the rugs get bigger, you have to lay it flat or you can't see. Is it cupping? Is it fighting me? Is it getting too wobbly? Because some of you, all of a sudden, it's like crazy going on here, or you got this huge cup. Well, you have to adjust and look at it. So you need to look at it and see where it's at before it gets out of hand. And then you're upset because you have to pull it out, and it's hard to pull it out, especially when you're a beginner. You hate to pull out what you've already done. But if you keep laying it down, you'll be able to. So we're going to continue on. Lyle, could you please come in and see what we're doing? Okay, so we've done 2 single crochets all the way around, and I believe from the feel of it, we've come back around. Now see, here we are immediately. Here's where something looks different. Instead of the stitch being this way in relationship, here's the next stitch. This is actually the second, we've gone around twice now. The first one and the second. This is where it started, which is really interesting. Right where it started, it may not be that way on your rug, but right here, I've put one in here, and that's the next one. This is really close. If I add another one here, and I keep on doing that too much, then what's gonna happen is it's gonna get wavy, okay? So we're gonna go into the next one and only put 1 single crochet in that one that I was just in. Now we're gonna do 1 single crochet and look at it. Again, now it's off at an angle instead of right here. So I'm going to go ahead and put a second single crochet in here. This one only had 1 single crochet. We're going back to another single crochet, the second one in the same hole. So this is achieved with a rug or a bottom of a basket. Okay, now see how that's lining up and it's straight. So we know we've done a good job here. We're gonna go back into the next hole. Getting a little tight. I need to be a little bit looser with my stitching. Again, this one still needs a second single crochet because it's off at an angle. Here's your next hole, and you need to put an extra single crochet. So you're going to continue to do this all the way around. You're going to have less and less double 2 crochets in the same hole as you go around, because as the arch gets wider, you don't need to do it as often. See, this one is only going to have 1 single crochet. This one had 2, this one had 2, this one had 1. This one's only going to have 1. See, it's right up and down. We know that it can make it there. So we're going to go in here. So what's going to happen is we're going to continue on with this bottom and make it to the size that you want. And I wanted to make it big enough in this part of it so you could see how to add the stitches. I put 2 in there. This one's only going to have 1 because it's right there. Okay, so now we're going to move over, and I'm going to edit this in and show you how to build up the sides if we're working on the basket, and I will show you how to finish your rug if we're working on the round rug and how to achieve that. Okay? Okay, so we're going to pretend that I made that other blue one that we were started on to this size. I want to show you how to just continue on with this, and then we're going to transition up the sides. Now, I am not going to be as liberal with adding extra stitches on this last row. I'm going to maybe push things just a tad more because I like it to be not as many stitches on the last row. It makes the sides go up a little straighter. Makes the transition quicker for the walls to go up. So here you can see that I'm really just focused. As long as it doesn't start cupping, really, and it usually won't quickly start cupping. So I'm just continuing on with the same thing I showed you. This is a thinner material. It's going to give it. Now, I have decided already, I kind of experimented because what I wanted to, be able to show. This is a wider material. I robbed this from another, and it's still going to be used. And I'm going to do it for the sides, and I have some other too that I'm going to use that's in this ball that I'm going to change this. I wanted the bottom. I was trying something different. I'm always trying something different. Sometimes it works out great, and I say, yay, I love what I did, and other times not so much. And you'll find the same thing. You'll do certain things and think, that was a mistake. So you have to be willing to try some of these things. I used odds and ends. I ripped apart other projects that were ugly. I'm not convinced I love this, but I kind of do. I thought it'd be fun to do the bottom and wild, the more scrappy look, which I do like. So this is what this is. And then I'm going to make the sides a little bit more conventional, little more subdued, thicker, so there'll be a wider side as opposed to this, be more closer to this kind of thing with a little bit heavier material. And I was going to do more neutral because I thought it'd be kind of cool that if you had a bottom of a basket that was wild, that then you went ahead and had the sides come up and be kind of not crazy. So if you had something in the middle, you wouldn't see it, but then when you remove the thing that's in the middle, it kind of just gives it a totally different look. We'll see if my theory works out in the end. And of course, it's just a matter of opinion. Some of you will say, I love it, and some of you go, not so much. So some of you are very supportive of my work, and I really appreciate that, all the kind words that you share with me. So what I decided, I was going to stop right here and go to the thicker material, which you don't have to. I'm just telling you what I'm doing. So you know, you could just stick with the same amount of thickness as the other. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to go in the back bar, which achieves this look, and it shoots it up and not add any extra stitches. So here we were adding extra stitches as we went around, as we felt we needed them to keep the arch flowing so it didn't cup up. When you stop adding extra stitches, that's when the sides start to build. Basically, it's a huge cup that just doesn't stop cupping. But if you end up going in the back bar, which I'm going to show you on this one, you're gonna have almost like, here's the bottom. That's where the bottom ends. As opposed to here, we just stopped adding extra stitches. You don't see that look. There's nothing wrong with that look, and I like that look just fine, but I wanted to show the difference of how that's achieved. So you're gonna go in the back bar. I decided to do it right here where this color is, and see, this is where you would have continued to go. These holes right here, if you were continuing on to make it bigger. But what you're going to do now, just for one go around, is go into the back bar, right there. Okay, so you're gonna go into that hole, do the same exact stitch. It's a single crochet, but you're just using that. Grab your material, cross over, and pull it off. At this point, once I've done one, I flip it over. Okay, and now instead of it's the back bar, it's really the top bar. And I just work it like this, only grabbing the top bar. Now, you're gonna say, wait, I didn't see that. Okay, I'm gonna show you. Okay, so this would have been the hole that you're going into. What you're only going to be now doing, see, you would have both of those pieces of material. Now you're just gonna grab this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, all the way around. Okay, and so you're going to start building up the wall here. So you're going to be doing that, and then just one time around. So you're going to go in, still single crochet, nothing has changed, it's just where you're going, and now you're building up your wall. It looks like you pull it out a little bit. This concerns me every time, because let me show you, still it's just the same single crochet for the first time around. See how this kind of starts pulling? It fixes itself. And sometimes it's very obvious, like here, but as you go along, it kind of closes up. You can already see how instead of seeing two, you're just seeing this one little thing. Okay, so I'm going to try to quickly go around here, because once you go around once, then you're going to do something different for the second row. So I'm going to try to fairly quickly go around. You can fast forward if you need to. Some of you want to watch so you know what you're doing. See, that's fine. These are fun projects. These are fun gifts to give people. So even like if you like to give people and also to sell to people, if that's your goal. I don't do much of that, but if that's your goal, is these are things that maybe rugs aren't going to work for someone for some reason. They just don't have a house that's conducive to it, or if you don't know what to give someone, you don't know what's in their home. This is a way. Now see here, I don't like this. I'm going to show you this. So this is a great thing. I don't like, that's going to be crowding this, and it's going to flare out too much. I'm skipping it. Yes, skipping it. Can you believe it? I'm going to skip it because it's crowding it. And you're never going to know I skipped it. But it was crowding it too much, and it's going to make it flare too much. That is something else that you can do, which is awesome that you got to see that. Those of you who fast forward missed that. But you won't know that you missed it. Cracks me up, some of the stuff people say. They ask me questions, and I'm thinking, did you even watch my video? I talk about it in great length. So please watch my videos and thoroughly before you ask me questions, because I try so very hard to help you achieve a nice rug or basket, and by giving you all the information. See, that is ugly. Look at that thing there. I'm going to hide that. Oh, look at that. I hid it. Now, because this is fatter, again, I'm crowding that next stitch. Here's your next stitch. I'm skipping it again. Look at that. Skipping it. Can you imagine that? Adapting. You have to be willing to adapt. There's not an exact formula for this stuff. It's not a crochet pattern that just, see, I'm going to have to skip again. Now look, I'm going to have to skip again, but I don't want to, I want to skip that one. I don't want to skip this one. The reason why, there's some ugliness going on there, so I'm going to skip there. I'm going to skip over to here. Now normally, if I had stayed with the same material size, you wouldn't have to skip like this, or almost never skip. But because this material is so fat and pushing itself onto the next one, I'm having to skip. So this is a perfect way. Now I just adapt as I go, where some of you, struggle with that a little bit more. So it's great that you're seeing me adapt as I go, so maybe you'll be more willing. What happens if what you did doesn't work? See, I'm going to skip again. No, one more. What happens if what you did didn't work? Oh my, you'd have to rip it out. You'd have to rip it out and try again. You can do that. I have faith in you. I hope I don't sound like I'm being sarcastic. I'm really not trying to be sarcastic. I'm trying to be encouraging, and I'm sorry if that's the way it sounds. I want to be encouraging for you to try and branch out, because you will find all kinds of things that work so amazing for you, and that you can do all kinds of creativity that you did not know. And sometimes we say we're not very creative. I have to just follow the pattern. Creativity sometimes requires you just to push yourself just a little bit, and then you'll find that you maybe are way more creative than you ever thought you were. And that is such a fun thing, to explore your own creativity. So I encourage you to branch out, and people will write me and say, I found this, or I do that. And sometimes I do those things and don't even write them because they are too complicated. Things that I discovered. Now I'm going to skip again. Let's see, I may have to pull this out. I may be too much skipping. So I'm going to go on a couple stitches and then assess it again. Okay. I'm going to do another one and see what I think. I think we're doing okay. Yeah, see? And just straight. Yeah, it's got that nice straight thing. Again, skipping. I'm skipping again because this is really thick material. Now, if say you thought you skipped too much on this, so the next one you just don't do it quite so readily. You get to achieve the look that's good for you. I love when you share with me, and you'll put on, send me a picture in an email, and then I can post it to Facebook and share the things that you've done, and the creativity you've shown is so exciting to me. I just love it. And some of you are so generous with sharing your stuff, and I just think it's fabulous. So we're getting close. Now this is thinner material, so I'm probably not going to be skipping much here, if any, because this is thinner than that. Thinner in width and in thickness of the material itself. I'm getting close. You can see that color is coming where I stopped at the pink and I went to the other, and I want to get you over there and show you this part where you're going to stop going in the back bar and you're going to go back to using the hole in between. We are close. I don't normally film quite this long, a repetition like this, but hopefully I haven't lost your attention, and if I am, please forgive me. I appreciate your patience. Some people really want to see it like that, and some of you don't. All right, here we are. We're getting ready to finish this first one of just going in that part, which is going to be right there. Let me see. I don't think I'm going to, I think I'm going to go back to the regular stitch now. Okay, so here, see that ridge? That's what you achieved, this ridge. Okay, pretty. Now, this is how we do the rest of the rounds. You go into grab both of them, okay? So you're going to grab both of them like that. Still doing a single crochet, but grabbing both of them. You're going to continue this all the way around. You probably should not have to skip any stitches at this point. Okay, so this is how you do it all the way around, and then I will show you how to end your basket. Thank you. Okay, so here we are. We've built up the sides, and I like the way it came out in general. I talked about how I was going to do a crazy bottom on this one as opposed to these neutral bottoms and things like that, and do a neutral side, and it worked out really well when I showed you how we skipped some stitches because it was so thick and because there were so many at the bottom. And you can see I didn't skip any more. I'm letting you know I didn't skip any more as I went up other than that first round, and it did just perfect, and I was really, really happy with it. And we got nice straight sides and whatnot. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to do another stitch or two, just like so you can see how I finish it. So you're going to go in just like I left you last, and we're going to do a single crochet, and see this is getting to the end where I'm about want it. I don't think I want it much shorter than that. So what we can do now is here you've finished a stitch. Okay, what I do is I pull out the loop. I'm leaving it there just so you can see what I did. Okay, so there you go. And then I pull it down like that. See if you look, see how you can see that? Okay. That's one of the ways you can do it. Okay. Sometimes, well, you know what? Sometimes I do this. Wait. And I think I will because I think it's too much of a drop down. So here, let me pull that last stitch out and do it again and show you what I do. Okay, instead of doing that, that's one way to do it, and that works just fine. And I do it that way most of the time. But it seems like it's more of a drop down. So I'm going to put the stitch back in. Okay, I'm looking at how long. I'm going to do one more stitch. And then I'm going to do a slip stitch, which is just pull it out like that. And pull the back bar off. Don't cross over again. Okay? And then I'm going to pull it out. Now that's already stepping down instead of making it so much. I do that on a rug too, and then do it like this. If this was a thicker material, that would be less noticeable, but it's a little noticeable there. Okay, don't fret. I'm not going to fret. Hopefully you won't. Okay, so then you're going to use a tapestry needle. And you know, I didn't really talk about this, what I use. I have a good pair of scissors, which we're going to use in this too. If you have a tapestry needle or a yarn needle, it needs to be metal. Plastic just breaks. And it has this nice big hole. This is a number 13. You can also do a 16. It's not quite as big, but I like the 13 if you can find it, but you can't always find it. So in case you can't, really inexpensive. You buy them 2 at a time usually, and whatnot. So you go ahead and do it. What we're going to do is we're going to finish it off. I don't knot it at all, but when you're finishing off a rug or a basket or whatever, go in the direction that you're working with first. And then now, if you saw my other videos on how to finish things, I just did that. But now someone made a great suggestion. I teach this in a class, and I now do this as well, as I then feed it back through to lock it in a little bit more secure. So what I usually do with a basket, and there's different ways you can do this, and try and experiment. I kind of loop it through. See how I kind of twisting it. See, I kind of go through the stitch beforehand. And I just kind of loop it through a few times, not a whole bunch. Don't pull it too tight because that will cinch it down all the more and then make it more obvious. So I just kind of loosely, see how I've done? You can do that several more times if you want. I guess I'll do it maybe one more time. And then I try to work it in. I cross over and I try to work it in, just kind of feeding it through, and it's still the direction I'm going and hiding this tail. Okay, there's different places you can go. Try different things. If you don't like the way it looks, just pull it out and try a little bit different till you find what makes you happy. And I change it up some. See, I was going to go back there because I want it to be hidden, but it keeps getting caught. So I just kind of continue to follow through. But follow, you know, people will stop here, but I want you to continue to watch a minute longer. Because you can see what then I do afterwards after I go the direction. This is a great way to finish a rug too. So you can do this on your rugs. And you kind of feed it through. I'm going to do it a little bit farther. Sometimes I do it pretty far. I don't want to, you know, have something. Now see, it starts getting where it's shorter. I just pull it out a little longer. So I have a little bit more thread. You're better off to waste a little bit at the end as opposed to do it too short. But sometimes we don't have a choice because we're running low on that color or whatnot. And so you kind of just have to do the best you can. Okay, is this going to get stuck? Great, it's going to get stuck. And you're going to, oh, nope, I got it. Okay, so now what you would do after you've gone a little distance, then what I do, so I can see it, we're going to turn the basket so I can see it a little bit better. Then I'm going to go back the opposite direction to lock it in. But I don't want to go right back through there because what happens is when you go back, you're just undoing it. So I'm going to find a place down here. And again, you don't want to pull it too tight because then it will ruin the stitches that you've got. So I'm just going to find some way to get it in, and I'm going to go back the other direction. So we were going this way, now we're going that way. See how I don't want to pull it too tight? See, so it kind of hides it. And then a lot of times, see that now I'm working with a different color. This is a different color. Sometimes if I can go back up into that color where I was, I feel like it will be less noticeable. Again, it's not really important, but these are little tips that I suggest to you. So if you can achieve it, then you can. But these are things that I learn along the way. There's no exact way to do any of this. People have lots of great ways of doing these things. These are just things that I learn. And as I learn more things, I share more things. Because I'm not a guru. Like some of you will write to me and think I'm your rag rug guru, and that's very kind and generous of you to say. However, I'm just a person like you, and I'm trying to just help you learn how to do this with my achievements and failures because I didn't have anyone to teach me. So I had to kind of figure it out, and I'm trying to help you have an advantage here by having someone teach you. All right, so here we go. Getting close to the end, and I've decided that's probably about enough. Let me see. I don't like there's a pretty big distance there. If I'm going to want to finish it there or not, I'm not sure. I think I'm going to finish it maybe underneath this one because it's closer. So when I finish it, again, see, I'm kind of making sure it's not too tight. What I do to finish it, and I do this with a rug too. See, there you have. Now I'm going to pull it just a little tighter for a moment. A little tighter. Get your scissors in close, but don't grab anything else and cut something else. You're going to cut it, and see, there's the little stub. And if it was more noticeable, now it's not. It's as simple as that. So here's your finished basket. These don't have handles. I may have to do a video with handles. We'll see how to do handles. But and I also have the video that shows how to crochet over rope that makes it really rigid. So you may want to watch that video, which is super fun to do. So you may want to watch that too. And over my 100 videos that I also have. So subscribe, come back and join me again. And I appreciate your likes and comments. You have a good day.